Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to another video. Today let's talk about some mistakes when keeping guppies. Grab yourself a healthy snack and a beverage. Stand by. Welcome back, fishy folks. For those of you that are new here, my name is Michael from Michael's Fish Room. I run a small online business, michaelsfishroom.com, where you can buy high-quality guppies and cories and plecos and rams, and sometimes I get some other fish in, but check out michaelsfishroom.com. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, especially if you like pretty simple ways to do things with a I don't care about your feeling attitude. That's me. I don't really care about your feelings. I don't. Sorry. Anyway, let's talk about 5 mistakes that guppy keepers make. Now, these are in sort of an order, but, you know, they really can be 1 through 5, 5 through 1, 4, 3, 6, 14, 9, 2. You know, like, it doesn't matter. All right, so the first one is feeding. Overfeeding and not really feeding the right food. Typically, when you start with tropical fish, whether it's a community tank or, you know, you just go out and buy some guppies, you buy a little tiny tub of, you know, whatever flake they seem to have. Typically, you're going to buy, you know, maybe not the cheapest, maybe not the best, but somewhere in the middle. And then you just, you know, you drop in your flakes every day, twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever it is. It's not always the best way. Variety is the key to life, not only with fish food, but, you know, like in the bedroom and stuff, variety. I'm just saying. Anyway, I feed a plethora of different foods from Northfin and Dr. Basilier's and some other brands. I feed live foods. I feed blackworms. But let's just say you only have 1 tank and you don't want to buy 15 different foods. That's fine. Just buy 2 or 3 small jars, maybe 1 high-quality flake like Northfin and maybe some nano bits from Northfin, and then, you know, something from Dr. Basilier's, a little tiny pellet from Dr. Basilier's. And then every now and again, you go to the fish store, you go buy some live baby brine shrimp or, you know, maybe a little treat, some frozen bloodworms or something, and you're good. Variety is the key. Also, remember that guppies are omnivores, so they do need a plant and a meat-based diet. In the wild, they might eat algae, they might eat biofilm, they might eat, you know, some dead meat off of a shrimp or another fish. It all depends on what's available to them. So make sure that your food, the food you're feeding, is for omnivores, or at least 1 is for plant eaters, 1 is for meat eaters if you're going to feed 2 different ones. And just make sure it's high quality. Like I said, you know, in my business, I feed Northfin and Dr. Basilier's. That's pretty much it for the major brands of flake food. And I really have good luck with them, so that's what I recommend. All right, number 2 mistake, or 4 mistake if you're going top to bottom, bottom to top, whatever it is. You go out, you buy 10 guppies, 5 pairs of guppies, or 3 trios, and that's 9 if you're doing the math in your head. And you put them in your 10 or 20 gallon tank, you have some plants, and in 2 or 3 weeks, you have babies. Now you have 30 fish in a tank. And then another female has babies, and you have 50 fish in the tank, and now you don't know what to do because you have all these fish. Unless you're buying all male guppies, plan on having babies and plan on some of them surviving. So you're going to need an idea of what to do with them. If you have fish clubs in the area, just bring them to the local fish club meetings. Even if you just donate them, at least somebody else is going to have an opportunity to raise them, and you don't have to worry about, you know, what to do with them. You can also, if you have a ton, email me and say, hey, Mike, I have a ton of these guppies, whether they're muck guppies or whatever. Would you like them? I will pay for shipping if it's worth it to me for you to ship them to me. So, yeah, that's just another thing you can do. All right, number 3, and either if you're going top to bottom, bottom to top, it's still number 3. Overfeeding. Now, this is very common, especially with new fish keepers. Fish are opportunistic eaters. That means when you walk by the tank, they're going to look at you like, hey, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. That doesn't mean they're hungry. It doesn't mean they need to be fed. Stick to your schedule once or twice a day, whatever it might be. You know, if you're more advanced and you have breeding setups, or, your fish just had babies, you have, 30 guppy fry in one of your tanks, maybe you feed 3 or 4 times a day. Small meals. I would rather feed 3 or 4 small than 1 large. But overfeeding can lead to a couple of different things. Cloudy water, stinky water. It could actually start to affect your nitrogen cycle. Another good way to know if you're overfeeding is, do you have a lot of snails? It's the #1 cause of excess snails in your fish tank. Overfeeding. The first thing you do if you have excess snails, stop overfeeding. Most of your problems will go away. All right, number 4. This one is kind of controversial, okay, folks? But doing what you need to do if you have a fish that, let's just say, isn't really going to add to the genetic pool. Let's say it's got a bent back. Let's say it swims crooked, or it's all jacked up. You got to cull this. You got to cull that fish. You don't want those genetics to be passed on. Let's say you have it in a mutt guppy tank, or just a community tank with a ton of different guppies. If it's a genetic thing, let's just say the back, you got a bent spine. If that's genetics, all the fish that fish is involved in breeding will have that gene and could have that problem. So you got to cull it. Now, culling means a bunch of different things. Yes, you could go the traditional culling route of smashing the fish's brains in if you want. I know, that's bad. I'm sorry. You could use clove oil. You could put it in the freezer. I always have a bigger fish in the fish room that will eat said fish. It used to be a flower horn. I have some angels upstairs. If I had some guppies that I needed to cull, I would put them in the angelfish tank upstairs, and they would be gone in a day or less. Because let's face it, guppy fry, guppies, especially even ones with bent spines, are tender and delicious. So, if you have all these fish and you're starting to see some genetic deficiencies, you gotta cull those out. Again, you could freeze them. You could use clove oil. You could just throw them away. Do not put them down the toilet. You could feed them to bigger fish, which is what I always recommend to do. All right. The #1 problem, the #1 mistakes that fish keepers make, guppy keepers especially, is not quarantining your fish. I don't care where you buy them from, whether you buy them from me or you buy them from another guppy breeder, or they come direct from Asia or your local fish store. Every fish that comes into your fish tank should be quarantined. Now, quarantining means different things to different people. My good friend Keith from KJE Aquatics, he quarantines by just observing. And if there's a problem, he treats. I treat every new fish that comes into my fish room because it's a business, because I sell them. If I bring fish in and they're sick and I don't catch it and I put a net in there and then I use that net in another tank by accident, or there's water on my arm and I reach in and I forget to wash my hands, I've just cross-contaminated. So for me, I pre-medicate. I use salt in my quarantine, and I use a couple different meds in my quarantine as well to hit all the options. I've done videos on quarantine. I'll put a link up here for you to take a look about that. But quarantining in my fish room, minimum 2 weeks, everything with meds. That's how I do it. What you do in your fish room or with your tanks is up to you. But if you don't quarantine, you're an idiot. It's plain and simple. Sorry, it just is. Now, quarantining can mean, like Keith does, just observing, even in a single tank. Those new fish in one tank. It doesn't have to be a hospital tank or a quarantine. It could just be that tank. But no, you're going to have to treat in that tank as well if something happens. All right, fishing folks, those are my top 5 mistakes that guppy keepers make. I'm sure there's more, and maybe I'll do a part 2. Let me know down in the comments below what I forgot, and if I have enough resources, I will go ahead and make a volume 2 of mistakes guppy keepers make. Guys, check out my website, michaelsfishroom.com. All the fish are available on the website. Some of them are still in quarantine, but you can definitely order them, and I will be shipping them out when they're done in quarantine. Guys, I hope you have a great day. Peace out. All right, fishy folks, if you're new here, my name is Michael from Michael's Fish Room, and this is my basement fish room. It's a work in the making. Yeah.